Hey Adventures! With our recent exploration streams, we had a lot of fun sharing memories and experiences of our old favorite places, old quests, and even enjoying the revamp of some old maps. While checking out my handbook recently, I noticed that maybe it would also be fun to share some old stories of my early ROM adventures with you. So let's get comfy and do just that. During the video, there will also be codes that when used will redeem for 30 red tickets, 30 blue tickets, and 5 fortune coins. Please be sure to try and redeem the correct codes for your region. There are both global and C codes placed throughout the video. So let's open up my handbook and I'll share some of my raw memories along with clips and photos for all of you.
Yeah, so here's my handbook, and it's been 4 years. And as you can see, I still haven't done my story quests, but what I have done is taken pictures. I've progressed in other ways. I've actually come to really appreciate how much information the handbook retains, especially the character creation, the logins, things like that. When you progress your character, it's interesting how it's retained certain things, like maybe who you partied with, even maybe friends that possibly aren't playing anymore. So it's kind of nice to be able to look back on these things as kind of a snapshot of something from back in time. So we check out my old photos. And the inspiration for this video actually comes from this square fountain photo, which is hilarious because I'm still a novice. This is obviously Prontera. Looks like someone's trying to loot something. I don't know what's going on. People are just running around. And my favorite part about this is that I wasn't even posing at the time. I was kind of just taking a picture for the handbook. We're trying to rush through, obviously rushing through these quests, rushing through these adventure quests. And the best part are these hats. Back then, this was part of a promotion of the server opening. So these early photos, you see a lot of these hats. I have some very early guild photos and very early screenshots of like most of us wearing these things, are just really just in our job costumes because we didn't really have any gacha machines yet. There wasn't really much going on yet. There wasn't really much available yet as far as that goes. So it's really funny to see. Here I had finally progressed into an acolyte, and this area was called the Traveler's Camp. So what's funny is that this was the original Southgate questline and all that. This is like just like this is what it looked like, and it's really hard to. Not only is it the old graphics, but it was just completely different. It was a completely different layout altogether. What's fun about this one is that obviously I must have obtained some kind of hat within the following days. This was the original Prontera-Izlude Bridge. As you can see, compared to now, it was totally different. I do happen to have a random really old clip, and the thing in the clip that I have is actually kind of funny because this was after Sage was released. The thing about Sage is that you can move while casting, and it seemed to work also for petting pets. So there's a neat little tidbit for you, which I imagine still works, but it's just kind of funny. It's actually just kind of funny. Here's the OG Adventurers Guild. The OG Adventurers Guild. You could tell I'm kind of maybe starting to pose in some of these, or at least looking into the camera. But it's funny, it's kind of fun to look at, you know, just these old graphics. I think it's even fun because you still see like these same guards, but everything else in the background is all upgraded now. And then here's also the original Prontera Cathedral. There's still the priest and the sister. The whole layout of the front is actually completely different now, come to think of it. Because this is, you know what? This is actually from before the marriage update came out. Marriage update came out about, I think, a month and a half later, maybe 2 months later after the server had opened. Yeah, because the server opened January, and I think it was late February or like March. You know what? I'm sure when I find the photo, I'm sure there's probably going to be like a wedding photo or something. And then that will jog my memory of the timeline at some point. Oh, you know what? Oh, this is Westgate. Yeah, check this out. So this is the, what is this called? Palm Gardens. Okay, so the name of this area is Palm Gardens, apparently. This is that garden that's right on Westgate. This is actually kind of fun. You can see I'm a priest here already. I'm moving on up in the world. We only had the headwear gacha, and I remember I had gotten the veil and the glasses. The veil, if I remember correctly, was like some kind of XP boost. So like everyone was wearing these things. And then here is, oh, Knight's Foe. Oh, this is top left of Westgate. And it's so fun. You see everyone in their first jobs, or everyone like as novices in the background of most of these pictures too. Oh, you could see, oh, you could start seeing, you know what? I thought I was confused seeing a lunatic in this other photo. This is when I finally got my first pet. My first pet was a lunatic. Lunatics have always been like my favorite like kind of like pet or like little animal in our row. So when we finally got our first pets, I knew I had to get my first pet to bond 10 as the lunatic. And I just named it Fuwa Fuwa, which is kind of just, it's just a silly weebish thing. This makes me laugh because I got so photobombed here. I don't even know who this is. But this is that area that you climb up in Westgate. Here I am. Oh, this is Izlude. Champagne Blue Market. This is OG Izlude. This is the OG Izlude. See, here we got some folks with the OG promo hat. Or OG Izlude had this square with all the NPCs. All the NPCs. I remember specifically, I went to Izlude very often because a couple of reasons, actually. One reason was the Flora Coin shop was here for the Wednesday events. It was actually right on this area, or this bridge, if I remember right, once we got those events added. And the other reason is that, so since I've always been guild lead, Izlude was where you channel changed. It was the only place you could channel change, actually. Later on, Aldebaran got a channel changer. But when the game first started, you had to go to Izlude to channel change. It's not like it is now. All right, now you can change whenever you want, any map, whatever. Wasn't like that back then. Wasn't like that back then, kids. So you had to go to Izlude. So one thing that I used to do, actually, when GVG was added to the game, I actually used to sit in Izlude. So I knew when other guilds swapped to our channel to try to take the castles. When they were swapping last minute to attack castles. And I remember just sitting, usually sometimes in the bridge that's on the other side of here, or just in this square area. And then if I saw like a big guild mob crossing, I would just be spamming guild chat that there's going to be incoming today. Someone's on the channel. Watch out. So that's a funny story for you. Airship. This is Izlude, right? Oh no, this is like, no. No, Lighthouse was later. Where am I? my poor acolyte days. So this is kind of fun. So this is something that I don't think most people know, but this is the Nesi lore drop for you, because these two photos showcase that I'm not even in my own guild. So back when the game first started, we weren't sure when we were going to get our first Imperium, and then this is the Leviathan. This is the boat in Izlude, because there's Karoo. So I had joined a random guild. Like day one, like you just remember one is like the basic rank and everything. So we had actually started the guild Sleeping Soul about a day or two later, because what actually happened is that I guess you could say I got lucky at the card gacha in Prontera, that I rolled an Incubus card. And back then, it was something like 1.2 million or 1.5 million on the exchange. And I remember putting it up, and it had actually sold. And then with that money, I had bought an Imperium off the exchange, because they were all on Snap. The only way to get an Imperium back then was basically off MVPs, and the only people doing MVPs back then were the hunters. So they were throwing these things up, and I don't remember the exact price. It was probably like 800k or something, which as poor little acolyte Nesi, I did not have 800k. So I had finally gotten the Zenny, and then I left Salty, and then I had made Sleeping Soul a day later. So there's your origin story of the guild. And then I had started working on guild things and working on all that in the background, starting from there. Yeah, here's the, as you could see, it must have been, it happened pretty quick, because you could see I had already swapped to. This is me already leader, basically like the next day. The next day working on stuff on the Izlude, in the Izlude dungeon. Magic Gate. This is kind of pretty. It's kind of funny because it's such an old school photo with the old graphics, but even in this you could tell it's so imposing. It's so imposing with like even the runes on it. It still just has that look to it. It still just has that look to it, you know? I don't really have any stories, but I love this photo because there's just so many random people just. There's so many leaves. I think the best part also about this photo is the fact that I'm a priest. I should have been seeing gems. So either I didn't have res yet, or I simply just didn't even have gems in my inventory. I think that's the best part about this one. I love how this Pharaoh's trap is just me getting super photobombed. I think it's just the NPC though. I think I just you could just see like my ankle. It's amazing the photo even counted at that point. This is a fun one. We're over here in Payon now. Pumpkin field. I don't see myself or the pumpkins. Oh, Payon waterfall. This is cool. This is fun because this has my husband Deathkin in it. This is kind of fun. And the OG costumes. Oh, it looks like I totally didn't notice. This was after I had to do, if I remember correctly, I had to unlock this hairstyle from a quest series. I believe it was the Payon quest series that I had to unlock this one. Here's another one that we're out adventuring. So many people you can see just farming in these early maps. Look at these numbers. Look at these baby numbers. I really appreciate these baby numbers now.
How did you like some of the stories and old screenshots I managed to find today? Did any of them surprise you? Did you have any similar experiences when starting up the game? Maybe it's time to check out your book and see what you may remember from those times. I do have some more stories recorded already, so hopefully I can share more of them with you real soon. I hope you also didn't mind the impromptu, unscripted format. Thanks so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching. Do you have any questions? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, it would be super appreciated if you could like and subscribe. I also have tips and info, ROM news over in the community tab. Be sure to hit the bell and be notified to never miss out. Hope I see you again in the next video. Until next time, adventure, let's guard the eternal love together.